what a big tone. The old Mrs. Wilson heard that Charlie actually said that the Wilson Group was on the verge of bankruptcy, and also said that Claire could easily surpass the Wilson Group in its heyday, feeling that the whole person was greatly insulted. She angrily threw her crutches to the ground, and said, "You are just a rubbish who entered our Wilson family. How dare you say anything here?" Charlie smiled slightly. "You said I'm not ashamed? Ha ha, I'm just telling the truth. If you don't believe me, just wait and see." Harold sneered a few times and said, "Okay, Charlie, I'm waiting for you to become a big company." As time passed by, the time for karma was getting closer and closer. Claire's heart became more and more flustered, and he kept looking at his watch, staring outside blankly. Seeing her situation, Charlie comforted a few words, but it had no effect. But he was not in a hurry. Since he had sent an invitation letter to the Emgrand, it was impossible for Doris to not come. The reason why she hasn't arrived yet is she probably preparing a gift. Noah Wilson put on a posture of leaning on the old and selling the old, and said, "How about it? Do you still think you have any connections? It's almost 10 o'clock. If there were to be any guests, they would have come long ago. And now the front door is empty. Obviously the dust has settled, and no one will appear again." Wendy also gloated and said, "Dad, this waste said, there is not a guest. It does not matter, it is enough to have him alone. He really doesn't know where his status can go. Does he really think he's the most powerful in Orus Hill?" At this moment, suddenly a voice from the front desk was deliberately raised from a distance. "Tai Lai, the richest man in Haicheng, president is visiting." "Tai Lai?" Charlie was a little puzzled. Since the last time the White family banquet where he brought the lightning strikes on the spot, he has never seen Tai Lai again. Today, his wife opened the business and did not invite him. Why did she come? The Wilson family was also dumbfounded. Tai Lai? The richest man in Haicheng next door is very strong. How could he come here? After Tai Lai entered the door, he ran straight to the office where Charlie was standing. The Wilson family was surprised for a while, and glanced at each other. Noah Wilson took a step forward and said, "I just met a businessman from Haicheng a few days ago. He said that he has been walking closer to Tai Lai." "He introduced me to Tai Lai?" After speaking, Noah Wilson sorted his clothes and greeted him forward. Old Mrs. Wilson didn't dare to pretend to be big, and walked out behind. As soon as the fat-headed and big-eared Tai Lai approached, he hurriedly moved to Charlie's side. He didn't pay attention to Noah Wilson, who came up, and said with great surprise, "Mr. Charlie finally caught up." In the eyes of everyone's incomparable surprise, Charlie nodded slightly and said, "Why are you here?" Tai Lai hurriedly said respectfully, "Mr. Charlie, your wife opened the business today. How can I not come to join you?" At this time, Noah Wilson came to the front and interjected with excitement, "Mr. Lee, you are here. Let's go and talk inside. As you stand here and talk, it's not appropriate." Tai Lai was getting close to Charlie, but was suddenly interrupted. The smiling face suddenly became gloomy, and the air of a long-time high-ranking person exuded. He squinted at Noah Wilson and said coldly, "What are you? Did you not see me talking to Mr. Charlie?" Noah Wilson was very embarrassed, dumbfounded, and subconsciously asked, "I am Noah Wilson from the Wilson family. I was introduced to you by President Ma from Haicheng." Tai Lai frowned slightly and said disdainfully, "I don't know you, let alone Mr. Ma. I came here today to congratulate Mrs. Wade's company." Tai Lai's words shocked the Wilson family. He actually made a special trip to congratulate Claire? This is the richest man in Haikan. Charlie and Claire, when did they catch such a line? Noah Wilson was shocked in his heart, and he didn't expect that the other party would be so rude to him. He would swear, and he couldn't hold his face. He hurriedly backed a few steps with interest, and stood aside. With a face full of doubt, Wendy asked Harold next to her in a low voice, saying, "This fat man is really the richest man in Haicheng? Does it feel like an actor has been invited? How can the richest man treat a rubbish with respect?" Harold shook his head and replied in a low voice, "I don't think it looks like it." None of the people present had seen Tai Lai. But Tai Lai, who was kneeling and licking Charlie in front of him, and Tai Lai, who was rumored to behave badly, were not alone at all. At this time, Tai Lai took out an exquisite box from his bag, handed it to Claire, smiled respectfully and said, "Congratulations to Mrs. Wade's company for opening. This is a little bit of my heart, please accept it." Claire was a little at a loss. She didn't invite Tai Lai, didn't even know Tai Lai, and didn't know if she should accept this gift. Charlie smiled slightly and said, "My wife, this is President Lee's heart, accept it." Claire then took the box, and after thanking him, she put away the present. But she heard Wendy say, "Claire, President Lee gave a gift, would you let us see it?" Yes, Lee is always a big boss with a fortune of hundreds of billions, and the gifts he gives are definitely not ordinary. Harold also said. Claire looked at Charlie before opening the gift box under everyone's attention.